Alright, Koi is here. I know a lot of you have been waiting for her, so let's go ahead and just get right into it. Okay, so right out of the gate, you can see she has triple jump. So phase 1, she can use 3 different sword works, so looks like she has like a circular attack, one that shoots straight forward, and another one that tracks after moving slowly. And then she'll chain the boss in place and do a slash. So dual wield right off the bat. Looks like a ninjutsu boost score. Got an HP node. So flying swords boost damage. Okay. Heavy sword increase damage. Another score node. The fire attack with a fire weapon. Leaping Swords gives you 2 more koi. Score boost. Leaping Swords gets a boost. So it looks like most of this is going to be focused on boosting the various aspects of her ninjutsu. Looks like a dragon. Yeah, dragon boss damage. Alright, talent Sword Heart. So stack of Sword Heart max 3 stacks. If there's a boss, she gets 5 shurikens. Sword Heart can be activated and will launch koi spirits to boss. 2 fire koi spirits will be launched for each stack of Sword Heart. Each stack of Sword Heart can bring koi attack plus 30. Koi loses 1 stack of Sword Heart when taking cumulative damage no less than 25% of her max HP. And then for 5 seconds she won't be able to... Okay. That looks like 2 more spirits, 1 less shuriken orb. So it looks like she's intended to be an all-around character, not just focus solely on ninjutsu with that. We'll confirm with some of the other setup. We got an attack node. So Fire Kieran's Devour state for 30 seconds. So basically fire element damage for every second. So that's a nice little perk that you got going on there. Gives an extra set of damage to the boss. Kind of curious how that works with boss fights where there's 2 on the screen. Have have to test that at live during Abyss or something. Okay, so HP node, HP recovery. And we gotta get her leveled up real quick. So overall, she looks like she's pretty straightforward. She doesn't look like she specializes the same way that others do, but I think this will help for players that don't tend to just nuke with ninjutsus during arena, for example. During first period ninjutsu, a blaze sword works can be used an additional time. Okay, so that brings you up to 4 uses. More damage for ninjutsu. Okay, more dragon damage. So something you can probably do is pair her with Ren, or a Snow Dance Ren. So you get another Sword Heart stack there. That's nice. Yeah, so you can use Snow Dance Ren for her team skill, and if you haven't taken any damage, then you'll get extra dragon damage that way too. And then her fire boost is going to be a nice bonus on top of that. Alright, let's see. So sub-weapon, additional attack. So 3 stacks of Sword Heart gives you quadruple jump. Will make dodging a lot easier. More set heavy sword damage. Instant slash damage. More fire, Kieran Spirit. Okay. Yeah, and looking at the nodes ahead, it looks like you get even more of that. So this is really going to be good on confined maps, for example. So a lot of people give me a hard time for using elemental shurikens. I'd say, you know, give it a try with her. You might find that she's doing a lot more damage. More instant slash damage. Yeah, and I bet these are more of the fire Kieran. Oh no, Sword Heart. Okay. So each stack gives you more damage. That's still pretty nice. Require spirit damage, 10%. Okay, so 600 dragon damage. That's pretty good. More sword heart stacks. Okay. Sword prison damage. Instant slash damage. Okay. More attack with sword heart. Attack, and I think that's fire damage on weapon. Oh, attack. So raise attack with a fire weapon. Okay, so her support skill. Let's get these unlocked. Normally you gotta get to perk 2, I think, to get that last node. So we'll take care of that in just a second. So it looks like fire element boost. So even if she's on your team but you're not actively using her, if you're a DFK main or if you're a Mai main, she's still good to have on your team. So just quick peek at her skins. And then the first 2 nodes are standard. So something interesting here, normally you see like an elemental damage of some sort or specific skill. This gives sword heart activation there. Looks like the next one, yeah, so dragon damage. Normally that's perk 3. So 2 stacks of sword heart with use of ninjutsu on perk 5. And then you get a nice boost on perk 6 to the finisher for the ninjutsu. Also gives sword heart activation twice. So that's a pretty sweet trade-off there. So I'll get these 2 activated, and then that gets us to 240 damage. Okay, so taking a look at her relics, she's got 3 of them. So we'll start with her koi hairpin. Starts off with fire damage and decreased damage from minions and bosses. Not fire damage, weapon damage. So it looks like, just at a glance, this will be up to 8% damage reduction, which is pretty good. Not quite the 10% for Kamaitachi contract, but 230 attack, and then each stack of sword heart at 90 for the set skill, or the set, so that's pretty good. And then fire element attack increase. R1's 233, gets to 260 at R2. R3 is 292, so it's okay. It's not amazing, but it's pretty good. And then just straight attack. I have a feeling this one's going to be a little lower, but the sword heart number, that's kind of what's deceptive here, right? So R2 you get 2, yeah, you get 3 at R3. So, you know, plus 90, that's 270 attack on top of the 205. Okay, so getting into the perk test, we'll activate perks 3 and 4. Main reason, you know, we just want to get a feel for how much damage she's doing, but we can also see right away that the way Sword Heart works with her weapon attack. And then we'll check out perks 5 and 6 in a minute. So quad jump takes her off screen. So just to show the increase of stacks with Sword Heart, we'll do a weapon attack real quick. So bumps up to 4, you see it went up to 880. Okay, so that tracks. Another heavy. Yeah, so it looks like it tracks to the position after it gets close to the boss. You can see here the Sword Heart and dual koi blades, so Sword Heart's that spear looking thing. Alright, so we'll just see that it gets the 2 activated here when we activate the ninjutsu, so just have a quick look here. Again, starting off with 3 stacks. And we'll make note of the final slash here just to have a comparison point to perk 6. So 3 stacks at 660. Yeah, 5 to 110. Or 1100, sorry. So we'll just do heavy. And you can see the burn damage took place there. So 85, 634 is what we're tracking against. And we should see Sword Heart activation with this one. None of that jumping is really necessary, just gotta self-entertain when you're running back to the boss every time, right? Oh, there you go, you see Sword Heart right out of the gate. Okay, so that was a decent increase. All right, let's see what happens from behind. So if you pick the top option, that tracks. Second option doesn't track. But you have an option to keep attacking even if the boss goes behind you. Didn't do heavy blade, so let's do that real quick. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Alright, so we'll do this ninjutsu comparison with the top 3 relics for each of the ninjas. So we'll just stick with Sword Heart here. Alright, and then we'll wipe just we're getting a feel for the damage. This isn't a perfect way to measure, but this gives you a rough idea. So about 289k. And just keep in mind the way Koi's set up, she's kind of an all-rounder, so all her damage isn't going to come from ninjutsu. So DFK 276k. Checking out Shihara. The way she works is very similar to Shihara, you just have more options. Now, something I didn't do here, and just to take note, I didn't try him on his defensive setup, but you see 379k there. And then we'll do a Morven test here. And the reason we're on Artist is because we want to have a fair comparison. So 309k. Now, I didn't reduce Morven's health to below half. Was just trying to get a 1-for-1. Arguably, I should have done that, but this should help serve for the purpose of the test here. Looks like he did a little more damage. Yeah, so 362. So he hits a little harder. Alright, so getting into the Koi blades. So Fire Kieran's Devour status on the boss for 5 seconds. If you re-trigger, you can extend the status duration. And it looks like fixed fire element damage every second. Standard stuff for the first 5 stars. For the weapon refine, looks like more damage, cooldown, 15%. Okay, so this is really what folks are interested in. 6 sword blasts. Release if user is Koi. Alright, so it's already favoring Koi. 20% damage percent of dealing crit. Minus 5%. Unless you're using Koi, then it's minus 25% damage, and then you can get up to 50%. So this really does favor Koi, and it helps increase her survivability. And then just weapon skill and crit damage. Alright, so let's get some of these unlocked so we can... yeah, that perk 3 is going to be really helpful for people. So if you're wishing for this weapon, I would recommend, you know, if you're able to push to perk 3. I don't know that you necessarily need to push to perk 5. It gives extra damage, but might not be necessary. Alright, so just showing, you know, there's one stack, gives you that 25%, and then you see with the second stack, that's that 50% right there. So let's go ahead and just do a quick demo and just give you some of my final thoughts on her. I'm testing her out with Vermilion here. So just right out of the gate, her ninjutsu is pretty flexible. Leaping swords, that's the top option. It's similar to Swirl Blade, kind of spins around in a circle and then it centers on the boss. Flying swords, which is the middle option, it's that mobile or fixed, that's similar to Snow Dance Rin's ninjutsu. And then the bottom option, heavy sword, that moves slowly to the right and tracks up or down towards the boss before exploding. And then overall, her ninjutsu can be used defensively or offensively, especially when the boss is behind you. That leaping swords option helps out a lot. Perk 3, that sword heart automatically firing on weapon use, that's going to be really good. So for folks that are playing arena, she's already going to feel stronger just out of the gate once you get her to perk 3. Perk 5 is where you'll probably start noticing the next major difference. You know, that dragon boss damage is nice, but perk 5, you get those 2 stacks of sword heart on ninjutsu use. So if you're taking frequent damage and you gotta, you know, try to make that back up with an attack, then the ninjutsu use will help you there. And then perk 6, that's going to be the big boost to her ninjutsu damage to getting it finished off. Dual koi blades, you know, those are boosted in Koi's hands. Probably makes sense considering that they share a name with her. And, you know, giving that increase on the boss attack debuff from 5% to 25% is pretty huge, especially when you can double it if you use a second sword attack. Her ninjutsu, like I mentioned before, it feels pretty similar to Shihara, so don't hesitate to, you know, use it in successive attacks if you're tapping or if you need to hold. So it's different in that you have options in terms of what attack you do, but then you can, you know, if you're in arena and you have weaken or curse shield that gets applied, then you can just kind of hold your attacks and just wait until they expire. So seal is really going to be the only thing that, you know, technically hurts you there. You know, and then I guess just thinking about her dual koi blades again, right? I can't stress enough, just koi alone is going to be the one that really takes most advantage of that. Other fire ninjas are going to find that useful, other ninjas in general, right? But fire ninjas in particular, it's still reduced damage, but it's just going to be that much better in Koi's hands because you get to that 50% that much faster. And I don't know about you guys, but I haven't had a situation where I've been able to do 10 weapon attacks back to back to get up to that 50%. Only doing 2 feels a little bit more realistic. I've gotten maybe 4 back to back in a short time frame, but my setup had to be right and I had to have certain cards in arena. You know, something to keep in mind here too, that her relics are really focused on boosting her attack overall. She's not set up to just blast with ninjutsu. Alright, and that is it. Thanks for checking this out. If you made it this far, don't forget to comment and subscribe. Make sure you give this video a like, and I will catch you on the flip side.